Yes, Vegeta did go to planet Earth with Raditz to train Goku. But before we get into that, I need to lay down the groundwork for the story you're about to see today. This is actually from a series called Dragon Ball SD, which is kind of a reboot or a remake or a recap of the Dragon Ball series. It's created by Naho Oishi. I hope I'm pronouncing that right. She's the author of a lot of other Dragon Ball manga spin-offs. She actually got her start doing her own Dragon Ball works that are fan-made, kind of like how Toyotaro got his start with Dragon Ball AF. Anyways, for today we're going to be talking about the chapter 35 of Dragon Ball SD, which begins with Goku, who is training in the woods because he wants to learn how to basically make himself invulnerable because of his tail being a weak point. He's trying to figure out how to toughen his tail up. In the meantime, he sees something coming from the sky, and it crashes into the Earth. It is, of course, as we know it, a Saiyan space pod. Goku's like, what kind of star is this doing here? Because you gotta remember, he's a little bit of a uneducated mountain boy. We see Vegeta and Raditz both climb out of the space pod. They are both, of course, younger looking. They're both probably children at this point. They talk about how they had a bit of a rough landing because they were two riders in one space pod, meant for one individual rider, of course. And Vegeta says, oh, well, we're here on this planet to train ourselves to basically overcome our weaknesses as Saiyans. And he thinks that if he trains on the planet Frieza, then he's not really going to be able to do something like that. So they meet Goku just by them, and Goku says, if you're training, then please invite me too. Vegeta's like, invite you? Okay. And so he basically lets Raditz train with Goku, and Vegeta basically becomes their instructor. And it's funny because Goku and Raditz don't recognize each other, of course, as they probably wouldn't since they haven't seen each other. Raditz isn't exactly sure what's going on here. And so they have to go through a exercise, which is similar to the exercise that Goku and Krillin went through under Roshi. Vegeta's first task is for them to move a rock with their tails. Vegeta goes ahead and does it just to show them how it's done, and Raditz basically fanboys out, saying that's what he can do as a Saiyan elite, and that they are going to have to work hard to get on his level. Anyway, they start training. Vegeta says that they have to lift some rocks back and forth 10,000 times. Then the next task is for them to be able to withstand pressure on their tails, so they basically stack rocks on top of their tails, and they're pretty exhausted. And then the next part is they have to actually hold on to a branch with their tails, and Goku actually has a lot of fun with it. And Raditz is actually feeling that his hair is weighing him down a bit just because he's upside down. So they basically go through training. It says here they go through hard training day and night, wet and windy days. If they paid attention, there's a nostalgic feeling to it as well, which is whenever Raditz starts to realize that Goku has the same hairstyle as Bardock. Raditz says, speaking of which, your hairstyle looks the same as my father's. And then Goku says, I think mine is better than his. He really doesn't understand what's going on with Raditz and Bardock and himself, but he just wants to just be his little Goku self and say something offhanded, just a small comment that he thinks doesn't matter, but it's actually very meaningful. So they basically do all these exercises, and Raditz grabs Goku's tail, and Goku basically says that it's feeling a lot better now, a lot more tough, and he manages to push the rock that Vegeta pushed earlier. And then Raditz does the same thing, and they're both very excited and very proud to have passed the test that Vegeta made for them. So, Vegeta, this is from his dialogue, he thinks to himself, anyway, for Raditz to become a true Saiyan, the thing is that I don't know what to do next. It's still not the fighting power that I seek, but I do really like it quite a bit. Someday it may come time to threaten this new friend of ours. Perhaps maybe I'm thinking too much, thinking about Goku. Then, of course, they decide to leave the planet. But before Vegeta leaves, he says goodbye to Goku and says that he was originally wanting to get rid of the planet, but with the newfound strength of the tail, he can try his best elsewhere. Basically meaning that he was going to do so much exercise and training, he was probably going to destroy the place in the process, is how I'm interpreting that statement. So, Goku says something very interesting as they fly off in the space pod. He says, that's crazy, I often used to ride those. Their vehicle hasn't really changed much since then. So he's somehow saying that he recalls whenever he was sent to Earth in that space pod, and that's about it. So I think he kind of understands there's some connection there, but not exactly. On the flight to planet Frieza, Raditz and Vegeta are napping in the space pod, And Vegeta's noticing something about Nappa. He's actually rocking back and forth in his sleep because he's actually doing exercise with his tail. You know, going through those same exercises he was doing. And he ends up messing with the controls, and it basically causes the space pod to go haywire. They end up crashing on planet Frieza, where they're found by Nappa. And Nappa's like, "You guys, where did you go?" Because they had been missing for a month. And Vegeta's like, "I don't remember anything." And Raditz is like, "What was that?" So because of the landing failure, they forgot everything about Earth, but they will meet Goku once again. Until next time, with more stories ahead. And then it ends there. So, that was the story of Dragon Ball SD Chapter 35, where Vegeta and Raditz ran into Goku once upon a time as kids and trained a little bit. Of course, this isn't exactly canon, but it's such a nice little side story that is kind of could be retconned in there, and it kind of doesn't make sense from Goku's perspective to not remember them in Dragon Ball Z. But the fact that they made Raditz and Vegeta forget their side of the story, that kind of makes sense to me for them to not remember Goku whenever they arrive. Of course, Raditz knows his brother, but he doesn't know him from this event. And that said, another thing that, and again, I don't want to like nitpick the story too much, but Raditz says that he recognizes Goku's hair as the hair of Bardock, but doesn't recognize Goku himself as his brother. Yet in Dragon Ball Z, he pretty much easily recognizes Goku as his brother just because he looks like Bardock. So maybe that's just a difference in intelligence levels between Raditz as a kid and Raditz as an adult. That's what I would assume there. But yeah, guys, this was a fun Dragon Ball side story, and it's obviously official, and I'm very excited. I was going to read through more of it, but it's mainly just a recap, reboot, remake of Dragon Ball. I'm sure there's plenty of videos I can make that basically mines it for material, because I really enjoy it, and I like covering these things. So if you enjoyed the video and you want to see more videos like this where I'm covering these smaller stories, make sure you leave a like and comment down below and let me know what you want to see next, because I really do enjoy covering these smaller stories that are taking place not necessarily in the main Dragon Ball canon, but it's official, created by creators who are involved with Dragon Ball officially, of course. Anyways, guys, that will be it for this video. Thanks for watching. If you want to see more like this, please let me know in the comments section down below, and please subscribe for more, and I will see you in the next one. Peace off.